Robinhood's brand is severely damaged. 56% of account holders are considering leaving the app. Well, I wonder why. What's going on, everybody? My name is Justin Conroy, Financial Dad, and if you're one of the 56% of people who want to get your money out of Robinhood, there's a few things you need to consider, and that's what we're going to discuss today. Now, the main thing that you need to know is that there's a few different ways of actually getting your money out of Robinhood and into another brokerage account. But depending on your situation, one option may be better than the other for you. Now, the first way that you can get your money out of Robinhood is pretty straightforward, and spoiler alert, this is what I did. Step 1 would be selling all your positions and clearing out all of your holdings in the Robinhood app. Step 2 would be to transfer all the money from your Robinhood brokerage account into your bank. Step 3 would be to transfer all of your money from your bank to your new brokerage account like Fidelity, Charles Schwab, or Vanguard. And step 4 would be to rebuy all of the positions in your new brokerage account. Here's the deal though. There's a few watchouts and things that you need to know if you decide to go this route. Let's do some pros and cons. First, on the pro side, this is easy. It's easy to understand, it's easy to execute, and there's no hidden things going on in the background, and you can watch every step of the way where your money is going. Second, on the pro side, it's fast, sort of. So here's the deal. Look, it's going to take you a few days to sell your positions and let those transactions clear so that you can actually withdraw the money from Robinhood. Then it's going to take you a few days to transfer the money to your new brokerage, and then it's going to take a little bit of time to buy those new positions. But compared to the other method, which we'll get to later, this could actually be the faster option. Third, on the pro side, there's no fees associated with this transaction. It's all you just moving money around, and so there's nothing really to worry about here. Now onto the con side, while we don't have any fees, there are taxes to consider. So if you've made any gains in the positions that you've held in your Robinhood account, you are going to have to pay taxes on those gains as soon as you sell those positions. Now, how much money you're going to have to pay in taxes is solely dependent on how much capital gain you had when you sold those positions and how long you held those positions to begin with. If you've never done this before, NerdWallet has a great calculator on their website. I'll put a link to it down below. You need to figure out how much money you're going to have to pay in taxes. This is an incredibly important number in figuring out which method is best for you. Second thing on the cons list is that you're technically out of the market for the days that you're waiting on all these transfers and transactions to take place. So it is possible that you could be out of the market for the best day of the year, the best day of the decade, if you're not careful. And there's no way to really know this. It's just a risk that you're going to have to take if you choose to go this method. Now, the third thing on the cons list that you got to watch out for is what I call the lingering dividends. Now, this is a situation that I ran into. This is basically when you hold a security that pays a dividend, and you held that security long enough past a certain date. It's called the ex-dividend date, and it means that you're still owed a dividend. So regardless of whether or not you still hold the position after the ex-dividend date, they need to pay you that dividend. And so now that you've sold the positions, you may actually still be receiving a little bit more money in dividend payments after you exit Robinhood. I recommend in this case you just kind of hang on to your Robinhood account for a little while, let all the dividends pay out, do this transfer again. It's not that much work, and it's only going to be a little bit of money most likely, so not really too much to worry about. So now that we understand the pros and cons of the first method, let's talk about that second method, an ACAT. This is an automated customer account transfer. Now look, that's a bit of a mouthful, but the process is actually pretty easy. Let's talk about it. Step 1 is to open a new brokerage account with some other vendor such as Charles Schwab, Vanguard, or Fidelity. If you've already got a brokerage account with somebody else besides Robinhood, you don't need to worry about this step. Step 2 is to initiate the transfer, the ACAT, from your new brokerage account. And step 3 is just to wait for approval because this could take some time. Now I want to talk a little bit about step 2 because this can be a little bit confusing if you've never done this before, and it's not always called the same thing depending on your brokerage account. I obviously can't show you every single brokerage account out there, but I want to show you at least on Fidelity so that you get an idea of what this looks like. So here we are in my Fidelity brokerage account, just as an example. Looks like the market's down a little bit today. Oh well, too bad. Anyway, you want to go up here to the top left, at least for Fidelity, click on the transfer button, and it'll open up this page where you can select the type of transfer that you want to do. So we can look here and see that we have a few options. We can transfer money from other Fidelity accounts, bank accounts that I have linked, or other methods. And this is what we really want. We want to transfer an account to Fidelity, and then we can click continue. On this page, we can initiate the transfer by typing in Robinhood, We can see it there in the list, Robinhood Securities. Now, I'm not going to do the rest here. It's different for every brokerage. You may even need to call them in some cases to initiate the transfer, but the reality is it's a pretty easy process. You just need to find the right buttons to click. Now, what about those pros and cons? We saw a few good and bad things about the other method. Let's talk about this method. First on the pros list is this is pretty easy as well. All you got to do is find the right buttons, click them, and all the work will be done for you. Second on the pros list is that this is completely automatic. Once you initiate the transfer, almost everything will be done for you. You don't have to worry about dividends lingering. You don't have to worry about your options. You really don't have to worry about anything. They'll even close your Robinhood account once the process is complete. So you're really good to go. This is almost fully automatic. Third on the list of pros is that there's no taxes to worry about, no capital gains to calculate, nothing to worry about there, because you're simply just transferring your assets from one brokerage to another. Fourth on the list of pros is that you can stay in the market the entire time. Because you're not actually losing your assets, you're not ever actually selling your positions, you stay in the market. So if you happen to have that once in a lifetime, best day of the week, the month, the decade, you don't miss it. You're in the market and you get to make the money off of those assets. But there's some things to consider on the con side. Number one, there's a $75 fee for any partial or full ACAT transfers from Robinhood to a new brokerage account. So pay attention to this, because if, like me, your Robinhood account doesn't really have much money in it anyway, and you're not really dealing with a lot of capital gains, it may be worth doing the other method because you don't have to pay the $75. In my case, I was only looking at paying about $30 in taxes for the capital gains that I was making, so it made sense to do the other method. I wasn't really worried about it. $75 is not something I want to pay if I don't have to. Second on the list is long approval times. Now, understand that the ACAT, the automatic customer account transfer system, is still needing to be reviewed by a person. And there's a lot of traffic right now. There's a lot of people who are making these transfers right now. And it's taken these guys some time to actually go in and review all the accounts and make sure everything's okay before they click the little button and approve your transfer. So just be ready to wait. It could take anywhere from a few days. I've heard reports up to a full month for this happening for some people. Just depends on what's going on. Third complexity you're going to run into is two issues with margin. So first thing around margin is that if you're using margin to trade, your new brokerage account may not honor the debt that you have in your margin account. So if they don't, and if you try to make this transfer, they're not going to approve it, and you're not going to be able to do this. Second consideration with the margin is that if you're using margin to trade in Robinhood, and if you haven't enabled margin trading in your new brokerage account, there's going to be a discrepancy, and so you might actually just get rejected simply because you don't have margin enabled in your new brokerage account and you had it enabled in Robinhood. So watch out for this. Make sure they're both enabled, and make sure that your new brokerage account is going to honor your margin in Robinhood before you make the transfer. Otherwise, you may be wasting your time. All right, so let's recap, make sure we got this. If you want to get your money out of Robinhood, there's two main ways. First way is manual. You're going to sell all your positions, transfer the money all around, get it into the new brokerage account, rebuy your positions, pay your taxes. Second way is to do an ACAT, automatic customer account transfer. You're going to initiate that from your new brokerage account. They're going to do all the work for you. You're going to pay $75, and then all your assets are going to be in your new brokerage account. If you're like me and you're not really dealing in too much money in your Robinhood account, your capital gains aren't that much, probably better to do the manual method. If you're dealing in big bucks, if you got tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars in that account, you probably want to do the ACAT. Make sure everything gets done properly. Just pay the $75. If you like quick to the point personal finance content just like this, do me a favor and hit that little like button down below. It's a little bit of effort on your end and it helps me out tremendously. Appreciate you guys watching. Hope this helps. Have a good one, everybody.